Kuzuzampo and a very warm welcome to our weekly news magazine program, Bhutan This Week. I'm Sangi Shazom. Our top stories this week. His Majesty the King grants audience to the participants of the 7th Scout Leadership Training. Schools to open from 1st of February beginning this year. And rupee exchange ceiling to double to 10,000 rupees. His Majesty the King granted audience to the participants of the 7th Scout Leadership Training at the Military Training Center in Wandifoda. The 3-week-long training began on 26th of last month.
There are 125 Class 10 students selected from across the country attending the Scout Leadership Training. With the present batch, 839 students will have completed the training. The Scout Leadership Training was initiated upon the command of His Majesty the King in 2014. His Majesty the King also visited the ongoing Wandifoda Dzong reconstruction project site. The project is presently over 37% complete. So far, of the 1 billion ngötum allocated, close to 330 million ngötum has been spent for the project. Presently, works are underway to construct the Uti and administrative block. According to project officials, the reconstruction is scheduled to be complete by 2021. Later in the evening, His Majesty the King granted audience to the participants of the ongoing Village Skills Development Program at the Technical Training Institute in Kurutang. 43 participants from Lunana are undergoing the training on traditional painting, tailoring, carpentry and weaving among others. The program was initiated after His Majesty's visit to Lunana in October last year. It is to make remote communities in the country self-reliant in all necessary skills. The program will end on 13th February. For Komal Kharka in Wangdi, Damchuzam, BBS News.
A group of youth in Decheling Gyeok of Pemagasal will undergo training in paddy cultivation this year. Prime Minister Sring Togge assured this while visiting the Gyeok recently.
Meeting the Prime Minister, people said paddy cultivation in the Gyeok has declined over the years, and a group of youth did try to revive the practice but to no avail.
We were unsuccessful because we lacked experience in such a work. Therefore, we would be thankful if the government could provide us with some kind of training on paddy cultivation.
Prime Minister Sring Togge said the government welcomes such an initiative and guaranteed every necessary support.
You said there's a group of interested youth. So if you are planning to start paddy cultivation from this season, then the training should be conducted as soon as possible. For this year, we will provide the required machinery as well.
As part of his Gyeok visit, the Prime Minister also met and interacted with the people of Chekhurling and Norbukang Gyeoks. For Chile Doji in Pemagatsil, Sonomongdi, BBS News.
The unauthorized enhancement of loans by the alleged project officer of Bhutan Development Bank has increased to over $500 million. Anti-Corruption Commission's investigation found the project officer allegedly increased the loan amounts by 576 million for 56 clients. The amount were recorded for 2015 and 2016.
Anti-Corruption Commission confiscated 1 backhoe and 3 bikes. The Commission said it was bought with the enhanced money but under the ownership of other people. The Commission has also frozen a plot of land in Thimphu, which is jointly registered under the suspect and his friend's name. All the 56 clients will be called by the Commission for questioning. The Anti-Corruption Commission will also study the loan issuing procedures and its system in Bhutan Development Bank. The investigation revealed there is not much amount in the bank accounts of suspect and his wife, but there is a record of huge number of transactions from their accounts. Police arrested the suspect in November last year after the bank complained and forwarded the case to the Commission last month. Changadoji, BBS News.
Schools will now have a longer summer break but shorter winter break starting this year. This change was discussed and endorsed during the 18th National Education Conference.
Schools will now open from 1st February beginning this year. Teachers will have to now report on 1st February and students will join the school from 3rd February. Summer break will now be for the entire July month. However, this change will not apply to schools in the higher altitude places like Laya, Lunana, Lingji, Merak and Sakting. The Director General of Department of School Education, Karma Singh, said longer summer break will allow students to help the parents in the fields.
The summer break will be from July 1st to 30th July, that is 1 month, and reporting time for both the students and teachers for the second term after the summer break is July 31st. Winter break will be from 18th December to 30th January. Teachers to report on February 1st, students to report on 3rd February.
Officials from the Department of Youth and Sports added the extended summer break will give students more time to engage in sports and extracurricular activities. Former Chief Justice Lempo Sonam Tobge graced the opening of the 18th National Education Conference. For Pup Gelson in Funsoling, Pup Game for BBS News.
The Education Conference also endorsed Dzongkha as a mandatory subject for classes pre-primary to 12. Students will now have to score the minimum pass mark in Dzongkha to be promoted to the next grade.
Besides prioritizing Dzongkha in schools, the conference also endorsed to have adequate Dzongkha teachers and specialist subject teachers to teach Dzongkha from class PP to 3. The conference also decided to infuse environmental studies subject with Dzongkha and English for class PP to 3.
In order for our students to be able to take interest, give more priority and importance to the Dzongkha as our national language, and also to keep our culture intact, the National Education Conference has endorsed that from here on, students will have to pass Dzongkha as a mandatory subject from class PP to 12.
With this decision, there will be no separate environmental studies subject which is currently taught in Dzongkha. The move was taken to build a strong foundation in numeracy and language among students. Besides reducing the number of subjects, the infusion will allocate more Dzongkha and English periods in schools. For Sonam Penjur in Funseling, this is Kilyangdan for BBS News.
Nearly 200 farmers are yet to get paid for their potatoes auctioned at the Sersang Auction Yard, a private agency in Funseling. The problem came after the central bank froze the withdrawals of Newton for demonetized rupee notes.
Sitting, waiting and still waiting. Some of them for about 2 weeks now. The auction closed on 15th December. Potatoes were sold nearly a month ago, but farmers are yet to get their cash.
School na lokti to lokto na jobre tigi kangi ngila sumbalu ka sojing ga jeri mise solwa senam ki la di tushi ki wala ten digo beni digi de kinti de majwa chin sabe ki delela te gara ki wagi lyoni menioni anasu gara te kinti de kala judi bela bego badalo ki sabte ki wagi rindile ta go badalo ka do donle chishochi yumi di sessionela
ta amtuda ange age kusumba dojine ko tane be tanali de nimga ya sitruma thobala 다리 주로 봤으면 좀 맞으면 때 무슨 게 티카데 송고벨라 좀단 다다 녀미 밀로라 로 해마기 주사 슐레 들다 맞이be 안에 루미사 타임에 때 봐도 좋으면라 때 멜레로 징게서원 야 맨날 들어 분니 숨르게 더블 밀로라 때 딘나로 미 곡사부갈은 미 몸부갈은 또랑 안가미 차벨라.
Even the Indian traders are not able to pay the entire amount at once to the agency due to limited access to rupees. Whatever amount they pay is shared among the farmers. The auction yard is yet to receive 20 million rupees from the traders and owes 40 million Newton to the farmers.
They are shunglu inju sala shijira beila de dingile da shungilamlu da chuda purana masude bedebedu pshakachi nani yupji semidi ngachi chachi ya shunglu shutai de in the junibi gitari dunde chiga shuila the iro te shungilamlu da chidu nata minuse beshimle de darura lok ngachara ya sanamlen kanacha da ngachana misigi de kyawagi rindugi rindugi turutuni de namsime kanye bomla tendo hani bodalo da ani daro yale senam hengale bedi bero japchi shugo besla bebe da ya sanam hengana ja sanam hengalge bedi darora geshingile onzilu te yi chai nanola.
The agency has over 28 million in the bank. For Sonam Penjo in Finsoling, this is Sonam Pem for BBS News.
The central bank will double the rupee exchange ceiling to 10,000 rupees from next week. Currently, a person is allowed to exchange only 5,000 rupees in a month.
The central bank has been receiving 100 million rupees every week from the Reserve Bank of India. This has helped to minimize the shortage of rupee notes in the country, following demonetization of 500 and 1,000 rupee denominations in India.
So as long as the people are behaving themselves, coming with a genuine interest to receive INR, we have been actually now entertaining everybody who is coming from 9 to 3 o'clock during the daytime. So this is to inform the public that the shortage is there, but that the shortage has been not as severe as in the month of December. So we are also looking at if we continue receiving around 100 million a week. We are even considering that from next week we'll be able to provide 10,000 per individual per IT card.
The governor added that the rupee exchange ceiling for orange suppliers and other exporters in border areas will also be increased.
So now even the problem of the exporters for need of Indian rupee to export to India may be resolved in next 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll be again working with the exporters. We'll be discussing with the exporters to enhance their needs, and also even the number of trucks that maybe need to be financed, need to be provided with Indian rupee to transport our Bhutanese products to India.
Currently, only 5,000 rupees is provided for each truckload of export of any Bhutanese products. This is Pasa for BBS News.
Blacktopping of Gyeok Center roads is listed as one of the risk indicators in the Works and Human Settlement Ministry's Annual Performance Agreement 2016 to 2017. Only less than half the targeted kilometers of GC roads were blacktop as of November last year. However, the ministry is hopeful in completing the works on time. This was highlighted during the mid-year review of central agencies.
Of the 646-kilometer target, only 215 kilometers of Gyeok Center roads were blacktopped as of November last year. According to the ministry, the works can be executed only during dry seasons.
The risk we have identified was, I think, the mistake we made in the nomenclature of the work, which is said base course. The base course is just prior to completion of blacktop. So it has to be changed from base course to blacktop. As far as completion of the work so far is concerned, we took some time in procurement processes, the tendering, awarding, and there are a lot of complications associated to this procurement system. So because of that, we have not achieved as much as it should have achieved by now.
It cost 2.9 million Newton per kilometer. The blacktopping works is funded by the Government of India at a cost of 1.8 billion Newton. During the review, Prime Minister Sringtopge emphasized that the mid-year review of Annual Performance Agreement 2016 to 2017 are focused on risk indicators. He said it is not time to focus on achievement, rather to look at the risk indicators as there is still time. However, many of the indicators were on track. 9 ministries and 7 autonomous bodies were reviewed. Sringzam, BBS News.
Jemgang finally has a public transport bus service. A new bus service was introduced between Jemgang and Finsoling. Jemgang had no such service for the last 4 years after the only bus service was discontinued in 2013.
People travelling from Jemgang to Galifu and Phuntsholing will no longer have to wait for these to hitch a ride like in the past. A 30-seater bus will now travel to Phuntsholing from Jemgang 3 times a week.
We faced lots of problems in absence of a proper transportation system. Now it is convenient to travel anywhere with the introduction of the new bus service.
Tarelestu sanot majurte mabe tinigi melamchi ikhatel debe tabdo sisunila.
The bus service, according to RSTA officials in Galifu, is introduced to ease the prolonged transportation problem in Shemgang. The bus will travel through Galifu to Phuntsholing and Shemgang. For Pemasamdup in Shemgang, Pup Game for BBS News.
Similarly, people of Kasa now has access to public transport service. The much-awaited service started last week and is expected to benefit the 4 Gyoks of Kasa and the people of Punakha as well. The Information and Communications Minister, D.N. Dungel, inaugurated public transport service from Gasa to Punakha.
In other Dzongkhaks, since there are more number of people and passengers, public transport service providers are also more. But in Gasa, because of less population, no bus owners came forward to take up a bus service. Moreover, condition of the road here is not like in other Dzongkhaks.
For now, the privately run service will travel to Punakha every Friday and return the same day.
Initially, we have kept it once a week because we have to study the number of passengers traveling. If there are more, we might extend the travel frequency to 2 to 3 times every week.
For a one-way journey, while students will be charged a discounted fare of 110 Newton, for others, it will be 120 Newton.
Tangbalu ngati miyam tundu katulu tangbalu gari na tabani ba mithabela teni balu thogdalu namsami te lagi te gemi te te na bos te namsami ngati kari chese shinila
hemadi te ngati na le khachi te joasinte la rantam chibe joru te tresikila la di te tur jari chingo te khachi te rijab jabasin tongcha sumsu jogo beso shinila la yegi mise da.
For the people of Laya, Lunana, Khate and Khame, the transportation service will benefit immensely. Before the service, we had to wait in the middle of the road and there were hardly any vehicles plying. People had to walk with loaded horses and this was difficult for aged people like us.
The service will be available only for 6 months a year. It will be discontinued during the summer months considering the limited number of passengers and roads condition which is worsened by monsoon rains. For Pasa, this is Sangeet Chizom for BBS News. Film-making trainings are helping the Bhutanese film industries to grow professionally, contributing to the country's economy. In recent years, the government and international donors have been uncovering the talents of Bhutanese filmmakers through trainings.
Some 15 aspiring youth and local movie makers learned the art of filmmaking over the last 3 weeks. When the first ever film school is yet to open, such training gives them much needed inspiration and confidence to make quality films.
Definitely, such training has benefited me a lot personally, because I have been in this field for quite some time. While I was doing this, it's all done through my own experience so far. And I've never gone such training before. After this training, definitely I can contribute to the director, to the artist also, to perform and get more performance from them.
There is so much of interest in filmmaking, both from the youngsters and the people already working in the film industry. Bhutan has immense potential for film, both as an art form and as a business. We have age-old Buddhist cultures and exotic locations, and we also receive huge support from His Majesty the King and the government.
In recent times, the Bhutanese film industry has been growing professionally and more movies hit the market each year. The sector employs more than 1,000 individuals with over 20 movies produced annually.
다 롱년기 비체디 열게
With such trainings, we get the opportunity to make quality movies. And if we can make such movies, we can compete in the international market, which will help generate revenue and employment for our country.
With ever-growing youth population and consequent youth unemployment, the industry is turning out to be a safe haven for the country's young population. And such trainings are a stepping stone for them to reach greater heights in their lives. This is Kipchu for BBS News.
Well, that's all we have for you this week. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.